Well, welcome back. Thanks for joining us, guys. We are back here live again. I am back from vacation. I was on vacation in Mexico last week, so I was not able to go live, but I have returned. Courtney, unfortunately, will not be joining us tonight as she is going to the Padre game. So I have invited my good friend, Dan Parker, to join us to talk about the real estate market here in San Diego and just what's going on in San Diego in general. So if you guys are watching, please let us know where you are watching from, as we always like to know where people are tuning in from, whether you're in San Diego, somewhere else in the country, or outside the country even, because we do get a lot of international people here watching from our dear city here in San Diego. So without further ado, I'm going to invite Dan Parker to the show. Daniel, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for the invite. And I feel like we need to publicly apologize right now. Should we do that now? Or should we do it later?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get after it.
All right, you guys. I just want to publicly apologize for Bert and I going live at the same time a couple of weeks ago. I know that
very confusing. I know
it was very confusing, and we have a lot of the same fans, and we just want you to know that we still love each other and we're still going to keep doing this. We just didn't communicate because we're busy real estate agents and we're trying to get good content out for you guys. So
as much as we can to get out there, we try to put it out there for you guys. Just let you know what's going on here in San Diego, whether it's real estate or just things going on in here in San Diego, because it's not all about real estate all the time, as much as we might say otherwise on here.
Or feels like sometimes.
But thank you, Dan, for joining me. I really appreciate it. As you know, we both kind of go on each other's channels from time to time. Dan has his own, if you are unfamiliar with Dan Parker, he has his own YouTube channel here in San Diego called The Best Life San Diego YouTube channel. Is that right?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yes.
Best Life San Diego, Dan Parker. Plug it in and it'll pop up, I'm sure.
It should pop up there. Yes. Great. All right, Dan. So how have you been these last couple of weeks? Anything exciting in your realm?
Great. Just got an offer accepted yesterday for $60,000 under asking. Who would have thought that could happen again here in San Diego?
That should be breaking news on the San Diego Union Tribune. Getting offers accepted under asking price here in San Diego is a big deal, because for the previous 2 years up into these last few months, you were lucky to get something $100,000 over asking price. Yep. So it's kind of a welcome change here in San Diego, in my humble opinion. So. Okay, so as we usually do on the show, we kind of go through a few things that are going on here in San Diego, and this will be no different. Let me just share my screen. I know last time I had a little trouble sharing my screen, so I tested it beforehand, so it should work. Okay, let's see.
Drum roll.
Big news here in San. This is the biggest news that's happened this week in San Diego. This is not at all real estate related. Although if Juan Soto would like to buy a house here in San Diego, I would love to help him out. Just want to put that plug out there. So San Diego Padres could be in the lead for best odds to win the World Series after these moves they just made. They acquired Juan Soto, Josh Bell, and Josh Hader as well from the Brewers. So these were gigantic moves for the Padres. So it seems like they're going all in this year. Again, not real estate related, but I was pretty excited about these things. So if you were living under a rock and did not hear about these things or do not care about sports, now you know. So I'm sure, Dan, did you know these had occurred?
I was just waiting to see what comment was going to be thrown my way. Obviously, you're only bringing this article up because of my love for all things sports.
This is 100% correct, Dan.
I did see people posting about it. I really didn't pay much attention. I don't watch a lot of sports, but I will tell you, for anyone out there that lives in San Diego or wants to visit San Diego, go to a Padres game. It is so much fun. From someone who doesn't watch any of these professional sports, really. I used to be a basketball fan, but I don't really watch a lot of professional sports. Padres Stadium is one of the best stadiums I've ever been to. I've been to a handful of stadiums. The concessions are almost all local concessions, like really good beer, really good pizza, really good food from all the best places in San Diego. And the games are just so much fun. It's such a pretty place, and it's a fun place to go with some friends.
Yeah, even if you're not a big baseball fan, it's still just a nice place to go because it's right in the heart of downtown. A lot of stadiums are not right in the heart of downtowns.
Yeah.
But this one's right in the gas lamp district. You can walk out and go to restaurants before or after the game. It's a really good place. It was actually ranked the best stadium in baseball this past year.
Wow.
So that was a pretty big deal. I'm actually going to try to do a vlog episode of the Padres Stadium, check out the food options and just where to park and that sort of thing. So look out for that video in the near future as I keep saying I'm going to do that, but I have not gotten around to doing it yet.
Well, you need to give everyone the secret that you didn't give me until after I went to the game and spent 45 minutes trying to find parking lots.
Buy parking ahead of time. You Ticketmaster, you can buy it up to 4 hours before the game, so make sure it's 4 hours before the game. If it's after 4 hours before the game, but you can buy it on StubHub, they'll probably be like $35, but it's better than $50 when you try to first get to the stadium, and you won't be driving around for about 45 minutes trying to find a parking spot. So.
Yeah, don't make the mistake I made. But although I'm going to try next time taking the coaster down. That should be fun.
I know. I've always wanted. I'm going to make a video on that too. Just taking the coaster from Oceanside or Encinitas all the way to downtown and see how easy it is to do. So,
or we can do a combo video. I'll take the coaster down to the ballpark, and then I'll meet up with you, and then we'll make the rest of the video.
That would have actually been a very good idea. It's a very, very good idea. Okay, so that is our one set. And let us know where you guys are watching from. I always like to know where people are tuning in from, whether you're in San Diego or somewhere else in the country or somewhere else in the world. Always like to know. So feel free to put that in the chat. Okay, next news I have here is another sports-related one for Mr. Dan Parker here. SnapDragon Stadium is about to open in September. It still doesn't sound like it's 100% finished, even though the first game, I think, is September 3rd. And this is just about, we're on August 3rd, so we're like 30 days away from opening SnapDragon Stadium. If you are not familiar with that, this is the new San Diego Aztecs football stadium in Mission Valley. This is the former home of the San Diego Chargers at Qualcomm Stadium. And it looks like a pretty cool stadium. They're going to have, it's not just going to be sporting events. It's going to have concerts, live events, comedy shows, all the above. So I'm looking forward to that because that's Qualcomm Stadium was pretty much a dump before it finally was torn down.
It was oldest or second oldest stadium in the league, from what I remember.
It needed to be torn down. I'm sad to see the Chargers go, but hopefully maybe we'll get a football team back here one day. But as of now, we have the San Diego Aztecs as our sole football team here in San Diego. So,
but here's the cool things. Well, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
All right. Yeah, I've been having some camera issues lately. This technology burn, it just can be challenging sometimes. So I'm gonna talk and I'll try and fix that. The cool thing about this location is that's a perfect location for a stadium. It's right off of the trolley line. It's extremely easy to get to. It's very centrally located. And then, SDSU is creating a massive build out here. They're going to have a second campus. They're going to have residential properties. They're going to have a whole bunch of commercial space. This is an area to look out for. So you have the stadium, which is going to be state of the art, a really, really cool stadium that is almost complete. And in this whole area, I think this is an area that is worth checking out if you're looking for a great place that is likely going to appreciate and value pretty well here in San Diego.
Yeah, I think this is going to turn into a new little hotspot here in Mission Valley. So I think if you're there's not a lot of single family homes in that general vicinity. There are like a lot of townhomes and condos. But if you're looking for but they're pretty affordable too. I saw your affordable video, and Mission Valley was definitely on your list of affordable spots here in San Diego.
That's right.
So take a look out for that. Okay, and this was the big news that happened last week. Unfortunately, I was on vacation, which I did not get to report this, except for on my community page. Apple expands San Diego footprint with purchase of 67 acres campus for $445 million. Pretty big news. This has kind of always been like the rumor that they were moving into Rancho Bernardo, but they never really had an address there in Rancho Bernardo. But now this is finally official, and they just bought a gigantic campus here in San Diego. They still have offices in UTC area, but I think this one's, from the size of it, sounds like it's going to be like their focal point in San Diego. Would you agree, Dan?
Yeah, I think they have, from what I understand, they have or will have by the end of next year 5 satellite campuses in Rancho Bernardo. So it's interesting that the news just came out of 2 of those that they just secured recently. And then this one is obviously much, much bigger than the other ones. So it's going to be really interesting to see this build out.
For sure. Yeah. So, this is also, we've been talking about this for like a year now. So if you haven't already looking for places to live, living close to Apple campuses is not a bad investment strategy. Just my 2 cents. So this was Apple confirmed Tuesday that it has acquired the 7-building Rancho Vista Corporate Center. I think this was like the former home of HP, had the offices there. The deal is believed to be Apple's first commercial purchase property in San Diego. Up until now, the iPhone maker has leased buildings in University City and Rancho Bernardo as part of its previously announced plans to employ 5,000 workers locally. So
all leased.
So I imagine they're probably going to do a little bit of renovation. I mean, it's already been renovated, but I'm sure Apple has its own way of doing things. Shocking. So I'm not sure if people are going to be moving into that as soon as possible, but it might be a year or two before people start moving into that location. But
I mean, Apple is, I was just talking to some clients today or yesterday. The days are bleeding together. They both work for Apple. San Diego is one of the few places that they can relocate to because of this build out and because of the leases that are going to be here. So they don't have somewhere that they can work immediately, but Apple is already saying that they could relocate to San Diego, work remotely, maybe come up to the Bay Area or to other satellite offices in the meantime until it's all finished being constructed.
Yeah, I've heard that same thing from Google employees too, because someone wanted to relocate to another city, but they're like, why don't you check out San Diego, just because we're trying to have a bigger presence there in the area. So I know we've talked a lot about this over the last couple, 6 months to a year. It seems like it's just, continuing to grow here in San Diego. Yep. And just in case you guys are wondering where the Apple office is, it's going to be like right, where was it? Bernardo said HP on here. So Camino, it was right over here.
And while you're finding that, I know you said another area that's going to appreciate. It is Rancho Bernardo is the number 3 most appreciated most appreciated neighborhood in San Diego for the last 12 months. So it's definitely up there.
Yeah, and Rancho Bernardo is like, sometimes if you just like do the zip code, because the zip code's kind of 2 different zip codes, like Rancho Bernardo and like Forest Ranch and Del Sur kind of share portions of it. So it's always hard to, and I think part of that is like Del Sur, Forest Ranch too. So they're all right next to each other. So makes sense. Okay, so enough about Apple. A couple other things. So this is just, I thought this was interesting. Carlsbad approves plans permits for Veterans Memorial Park. A proposed 93-acre dedicated to American service members cleared as essential hurdle on July 26th, which was just last week, after Carlsbad City Council approved a final master plan and development permits for the long-awaited project. So this is going to have a pump track. It's going to be a gigantic park, 60 acres of preserve and roughly 40 acres of parkland. The sprawling park includes a memorial plaza, 3 playgrounds, 2 bike tracks, outdoor exercise and picnic areas, trails, and public art, among other features. So this is up your way. It's actually right kind of like behind Legoland. You can kind of see it on the map here. It's going to be in this vicinity right here off Cannon and Faraday. I think it's this area right here. Go to satellite mode. I think this is going to be the park right here. So if any of you guys live up in the Carlsbad, which I've helped a lot of people move to Carlsbad recently, you're going to have a nice, large park there coming in the very near future. So that's very
cool.
Yep. Okay, so now we'll get to the real estate portion of the show. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Myself and Dan will be happy to answer them as we get through these few articles that I have here to chat about and just see what's going on here in the San Diego housing market.
Got a few of our friends tuning in already in the comments section. What is going on, everybody?
Star Platinum from Orlando always tunes in. I'm like, are you planning on moving to San Diego at some point? I just feel like
we've already asked him this.
And what does he say? I don't remember.
He really enjoys San Diego, and I feel like he was going to move to San Diego at one point, but now he just is super interested.
Well, I'm glad you tune in every time, Star. So I appreciate it. Okay, record share of home buyers relocate as high prices mortgage rates push them toward more affordable areas. So home buyers are seeking out less expensive locales like Tampa and off San Antonio. A record 32% of Redfin.com users nationwide look to move from one metro to another. This has kind of been the trend for the last 2 years during this pandemic, especially over like the last 18 months or so. But I did find it interesting down here that San Diego is one of the places that people are relocating to. So the top origin of people coming, I thought this was going to be Bay Area, but it was Los Angeles. Because I haven't actually had a ton of LA. I've had a lot of Bay Area, but I'm not sure if you've helped a lot more Los Angeles people. But
no, I definitely get way more
Sacramento.
Bay Area.
Yeah. And then out of state, it would be Seattle moving here, which I have helped some Seattle people move down here. So, but yeah, out of all the like expensive metros, I mean, it looks like San Diego is definitely the most expensive out of all these ones on this list. Would you agree? I don't see one that would be more expensive than here.
Yeah, looks like it to me.
Yes, Dallas, San Antonio, Florida, Nevada, Sacramento, I guess is probably the closest one.
So the interesting thing about this article is, so it looks like they're they're basing this data off of where people are looking. So
Yeah.
I'd be curious to know how many are actually moving to those places, how many are just interested in looking. Because I know people that live in San Diego and just constantly look at
Just
how
look for
prices
fun.
other
Yeah.
places or vice versa. But I think one thing that we bring up a lot is how, people may be leaving California, but especially to us, feels like a lot of people are moving to San Diego, which I don't think has changed. I think they're like with Apple and all these tech hubs moving to San Diego, a lot of people being able to work remote, coming from other expensive areas, being able to afford San Diego is definitely happening. But at the same time, the one thing we probably haven't talked about very much is there's also people that we all know that are leaving San Diego. I have several friends right now who have recently moved from San Diego to Boise or to Arizona. Boise's actually been a big one for my group of people. I was curious if you noticed the same thing.
Yeah, I've had people. I mean, I've definitely had a decent amount of people leave, but it's a lot of the people that I've seen have left have been like, especially a lot of the when I'm have bringing buyers to a seller. It's like older couples that are retiring and they're ready to cash out. I'm not seeing a ton of younger people leaving San Diego. I'm not sure if that's what you're seeing, a combination of different age ranges moving.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the people that I know that have left they're probably early 30s. They've worked a long time. They've gotten to what they feel like is a good point in their career, and then they still have student debt, and they're looking at this housing market. And they're like, we're never going to be able to afford it.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. Like, I mean, I got relatively lucky. I bought in 2016, so the prices were one of the big reasons I moved down here was because it was way more affordable than like Los Angeles, was where I lived before. And now, it would not be nearly as affordable, obviously, as it was back in 2016, 2017. So I get it. And I was talking to a client today about this, and like, he works in the tech industry and he was worried about getting priced out of it. So like, what about all the people that are like to have the normal jobs, like, nurses and teachers and police officers and that sort of thing? So like 5 years ago, they could all afford to live here for the most part. And now, with where the prices are, unless they, adjust a little bit more than they have already, it's going to be very difficult for them. If they're going to have to stay in their house longer. Granted, if they own a house now, they probably got a lot of appreciation over the last couple of years. But anyone like just starting out their career as a teacher or a nurse, like they're 25 years old, then it would be very, very difficult to imagine that they could afford to buy a house here unless they got some help from family or that sort of thing. So it's not exactly good news for people, for blue collar jobs here in San Diego trying to afford a house, unfortunately.
But we do have some good news on the horizon for the housing market right now. And I will also say, I think a lot of people in those situations, they probably would be surprised at what they can afford. And, maybe it's not going to be a single family home in Rancho Bernardo, but maybe it's going to be an attached property in a nice neighborhood that's going to get their foot in the door on real estate. So when housing prices have gone up another 20, 30, 40, 50% in the next 5 or 6 years, they can leverage that to buy the next house, or maybe they end up really liking that house in that neighborhood. So you have to have some plans in place. And maybe, like when we bought our first house, we had a roommate. We had to rent out a room for a while so that we could feel more comfortable with that monthly payment. And that leveraged us to where we're at today.
It's not a bad way, especially if you're younger and you can afford like a 3-bedroom condo and you want to rent out a room in there, like have someone help you pay your mortgage every month. So, I mean, we bought a 2-bedroom, my first place we bought, me and my wife, we bought a 2-bedroom condo in Los Angeles for $405,000. It ended up going up to $650,000, and we used that money to buy our next home. So not everyone has $250,000 lying around. So don't always just think you're going to buy your dream home. That's all I feel like the 2-bedroom condo I bought in Los Angeles was a dump, and it faced a building, it had no view, it had one parking spot, and it was built in the 1970s. So it was by no means my dream home, but it was a home. We had our first child there. We lived there for 3 years, and then we upgraded to the next one. So that's a good thing. You only have to put 10, 15, 20% down to buy a house. You don't have to have 100% of the money right off the bat. So, okay. Moving on to the next one. Today's mortgage rates. So I was looking at the rates today. And the conforming rates are like in the very low, like right around 5%, but I was looking at jumbo loans, and they were not nearly as high as I thought. So on Wells Fargo here, 30-year jumbo, because a lot of the ones we do up here are jumbos just because the price points are, almost all jumbos here in San Diego. 4.375 for a jumbo loan, which I actually thought, I don't know, for some reason I was thinking it was higher than it was. I think it was higher like in June, but now it's gone back down to 4, even with all these, rate increases that the Fed are doing, which doesn't always affect mortgage rates exactly. Yep. It's only 4.3.7. Maybe I'm just getting used to the rates now, and 4.3 does not sound that bad to me. I don't know. What's your thoughts, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, they just felt like they shot up so quick. And that's what was the main cause, the main driver for all of this change that we've been seeing over the last couple of months. And like I'm looking at the rates right now, they peaked June 14th, conforming just barely hit 6%, 6.056%. And then now today, where I'm seeing it, every website's gonna be a little bit different, is 5.35. So we've seen a pretty substantial decrease ever since the Fed chair announced the Fed rate increase of 75 basis points. We've seen mortgage rates go down. So they're not.
Yeah, which is related. So funny. Everyone thought like, oh no, they're raising another 0.75, and now they've gone down to 5% essentially.
So yeah, I've heard people that I trust in the lending side of things say that they believe there's a real chance that we've already peaked on mortgage interest rates and that they should start leveling out and going down. I don't know if that's the case. I'm not gonna say that that's what's gonna happen, but I think that if you actually look at the charts for mortgage rates, there is a real chance that could be the possibility.
Yeah, and I think people have been waiting for it to plateau a little bit before they can jump back into it. And now it's kind of on a slightly downward trend, especially if recession is, we probably are already in a recession for what people say. So usually in recessions, they actually bring the rates down. So we could be, I don't think we're going to see, 3% interest rates again for a long time, unless something dramatic happens. I think they're going to settle in somewhere in the 4 to 5 range for like the foreseeable future. Do you agree with that? Or it's just, I know it's an educated guess, but I'm just.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely learned this year that no one knows what's going to happen with rates.
No. I mean, we tried to predict the interest rates at the beginning of the year, and I was way off. So,
well, that was the thing. Every single expert out there at the beginning of the year said, rates are probably going to go up, but there's no chance they're going to go up past 4%. Like 4% would be the max that they would hit this year, and they touched 6%. So, I don't know, but I do believe in the next 2 to 3 years, most people will have an opportunity that by today to refinance at a lower rate in a situation where their home value hasn't gone down. I think that is very, 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 very likely. Will it get back down to 2.75%? Maybe not, but I could see it getting back into the 3s, maybe the mid to the high 3s to the mid 4s. Like that's where I would like to see it, but I don't know.
Yeah, if it was between 3 and 4, I think everyone would be very happy with that. But we'll see if it actually does. So,
yep.
Okay, so this is why we kind of already talked to this. The Fed raised rates. So why did mortgage rates fall? We kind of already touched on that a little bit. So I'm not going to get into that. I did want to get into this. So this is median home price in July fell again. So it fell in June to 8. So let's go back first. In April and June, it was 855,000. So these are based off home sales that probably happened in like February and March. Those ones closed in April and May. And now from April and May, they close in June and July. So 855 down to 835 in June, and then down to July, 815,000. So, fairly substantial drop. Would you agree with that, Dan?
Yeah, and these numbers are delayed. We talk about this all the time. The numbers are delayed. The numbers that you're seeing right now of closings are properties that had an accepted offer 30 to 45 days ago.
Exactly. So this is from April, May. Basically, they're actually closing now in July.
Yep.
So $815,000. So I'm curious, does August and September continue the downward trend, or is it going to start to flatten? I think it's going to flatten around that 800,000 mark. But, this is, again, just educated guesses based on what I've seen. I have seen home buyers jump back into the ring a little bit in the last 30 days because there was a lull. Like, I think that's probably why these numbers are going down too. So like in May and June, it did get a little quiet. Like people are like, we're backing off. Rates were at like 6% for the most part around then. And now they've kind of dropped like a point, really. So maybe people like getting a little more comfortable with the rates. They're getting a little bit more reasonable. There have been price drops, so now you get a semi-reasonable rate, and now the prices have dipped a little bit. So now people are kind of jumping back into the ring a little bit.
Yeah. So if can you pull up active inventory on here?
Yeah.
Active listings.
Well, I can do it on here. Hang on, let me see.
Yeah, I think is there active active
Yeah,
listings on the bottom left-hand corner. Click on that.
Down there, right?
Yep.
There it is. Okay.
So
there you go.
So you can see this is exactly what happened. I mean, that is a sharp incline at a time where buyers were saying, you know what, let's just hold on. There's crazy things going on in the world. There's all this talk about a recession. The interest rates have gone up like crazy. I'm just going to hold off for a second. And that's what you saw. That's what I saw with the clients that we were working with. And now we're getting to this point where it's actually seasonal. Like, can you pull this out for the last, instead of 1 year, put it up like 5 years or something like that?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, so it's hard to see in this, but every single year at this point in time, the amount of active listings drops. Now, obviously, some years more than others.
December 2021, and then we can go to December 2020.
Yep.
So you can see where it's dipping. It dips there, it dips here, and this is December 2 probably. Yep. So it's always dipping in December, then it goes back up. This, you can see it going up and down. So
the thing is, people forget this. Sellers can easily freak out. Real estate agents can freak out because they're used to home selling over a weekend, and now their listings are stale because they've been on the market for 2, 3, maybe even 4 weeks. But we're getting to this point in this part of the year that the inventory is starting to level out. If it went up like it was going up and it just kept going up like that, we would have been in a really interesting place. But people want to sell at the beginning of summer. They start slowing down throughout the remainder of the year. And then if you look at demand, which I don't know, I guess
on here. Yeah.
Everyone has it a little bit different.
This one's a little different.
So if you look at demand, which is how many properties went under contract, then you would see the opposite. So it goes down really sharply, and then all of a sudden it actually has gone up in the last 2 weeks. So this just goes to show the things that we keep saying over and over, Bern, is like, we kind of get to experience the data before the data is available. Like, exactly. We work with a lot of buyers.
We feel it every day when we're out there, because I can tell like how many people are at open houses. Like I even asked the agent, like, how many people do you have through the open house? First open house that they had. I was like, oh, we had 3 people. Sometimes they invest like, oh yes, we've been slammed busy. I'm like, I've been waiting outside for 30 minutes and nobody's come in. So
yeah.
So they always want to make it seem urgent, even though it's not always. I mean, the good properties still sell very quickly. So if you have a beautifully remodeled house that was priced really well, then it will sell very quick. But I find it's the ones that are like, it was remodeled 10, 15 years ago. That's that in-between house that always struggles a little bit. So
yeah.
If you're looking for a house, maybe don't look for the one that's completely remodeled all the time. Look for that one you can put a little love into it and kind of build it into your dream home.
Yep. I completely agree.
You'll get the best deals on those houses, I think. So okay, then let me just share this other one. Is that all the ones I had here? Yep. Okay, and then let me stop this one for 1 second and start another one. Last sharing, then we can get to questions. Favorite part of the show. Okay, so this is just month supply of inventory. So you see right here, 2022, we're still only at 1.2 months of inventory. So a normal, this is how long it would take for all the homes on the market to be sold. Only would take 1.2 months. A normal balanced market would be like 4 to 6 months of inventory. Mm-hmm. We haven't been at 4 to 6 months of inventory in quite some time. So even like last year, this time we were at one month of inventory. And then right at 2 years ago, 2020, this is kind of like right when the pandemic kind of started, a little after, there's 2.1. So we're not even close to balanced. I think we're kind of trending in that direction, but it'll still be a while before it happens.
And this is all of San Diego County.
Yep.
It's also worth mentioning, like, every neighborhood, every zip code was different. So if it might have been 1 month of inventory for San Diego, and then some less desirable areas, maybe it was a month and a half, and other way more desirable areas, it was like half a month, which really meant any properties that hit the market were going to have an accepted offer by the next week.
Exactly. So, and actually, if you see right here, this is where, so this is 5 months of inventory, 4 months of inventory. So last time we were there was 2019, essentially.
Yeah.
when we were at 4 to 5 months of inventory, which is a nice balanced market when, maybe they'll have 1 to 2 to 3 offers possibly, but and you just kind of use the comps that are out there. But right now it's a little bit of a cluster as far as I think everyone, especially the last 2 months, no one knew how to price a home. They were kind of pricing off what the comps were from like 3 months ago, but it was a very, very different market 3 months ago. So that's why you saw a lot of price drops and a lot of back on markets and all that sort of thing, because you had to almost use one that sold yesterday rather than one that sold 2 months ago, because that comp was no longer valid. So
yeah, it was tough because look, here's the reality. If someone wants to sell their house, it's not like they wake up one morning and they're like, I'm going to sell my house today. It's like they're planning for 6, 12 months, whatever, to plan their house. And so at least over the previous like couple of weeks, a couple of months, they've planned, if they're working with a real estate agent, they put a plan in place of what they're going to list their home at. So again, they're planning off of data that they used a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. And that data is showing sold properties from the previous 3 months. So they're 6 months off in a market that is rapidly changing. So yeah, it was interesting to say the least.
For sure. Okay, so this is it's funny right here. It says, this is from June. That's why 1.5 months of inventory in June compared to 1.1 the year before. So not too far. Homes for sale, a little bit more, 18% increase in homes for sale. This is from June 2022 versus 23. So that's gone up, obviously. Days on market, kind of actually, I'm surprised by this. It's kind of about the same, 18 versus 19. That's interesting.
Yeah. So again, this is what we keep saying. Data is delayed. The July data for this is not going to come out for at least another couple.
I know. I'm actually very curious to see July. I think July is the first month we're actually going to see like differences. That's what I saw on that InfoSparks one was from July. It's the only one I have for July. The other one won't come out for like a week or so.
Yeah.
What do you think they would be able to plug it into a computer and just pops out? Like, why is it so difficult for it to come out? I don't know.
It's very frustrating.
Agreed.
Especially for people like us that like to talk about what's going on in the real estate.
This is all we talk about all the time. We're really fun at parties, I swear. Okay, so we can.
Right. And then my favorite is we'll have comments of people that are like, home prices decreased by 30% in the last 5 days. Like, tell me where you got that data, because I can't find it. It's not out there.
They've watched one of the other YouTubers that makes that. So. Okay, let's get to some questions for you guys. Anything else you want to report, Dan, that you've seen out in the market that people should know?
I don't think so. I think some questions coming in will help get the creative juices flowing. If you know what I'm saying.
Good. Our good friend Star Platinum is back. Did you guys see the news site? Bid My Listing. The real estate agent bid on the listing house. The winning bid agent would come to the seller's house, give them a check, and they would get the listing. I have heard of this, and I think it's ridiculous. So,
is it a new site, really, or is it just?
Well, it's just that you're going to bid on it. Like, do you want to go with someone that bids the highest or the least? I mean, it's just you're selling to the lowest bidder or the highest bidder, however you want to phrase it. I don't think. I mean, it's going to be like, I didn't even talk about Open Door. You saw about Open Door? They got fined by the Housing Commission because they were misleading clients. Open Door's big pitch was like they were trying to sell people or tell them they're going to save more money by using Open Door. And then they had these huge fees on, I don't know what the fees were, like up to 8% or something on the sale price. And they would buy the house for less than it was actually worth a lot of times too. So this just sounds like another one of those things that is going to be too good to be true. And I bet you some people will try to take them up on it, but I don't see it as a very good program. I don't know. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't know enough about it to really.
Yeah, I'll look into it more. Maybe we can talk about it on a future episode, but I don't think it'll work out.
It's interesting though. Thanks for sharing. Yeah. Let's talk about Open Door a little bit more though. So yes, they had a major lawsuit. Was it 62 million? I believe was the number that they got hit with for misleading people about selling their houses and giving them misleading data or just incorrect data to try and scare tactics to scare people into selling them their homes. So now they got hit with a $62 million fine at the same time that they have a crazy amount of homes for sale in San Diego that are for sale at less than the price that they bought it for. And they still can't sell them.
This sounds like Zillow, like last year when Zillow tried to do the same thing and they were buying up all these houses. And then I had a couple clients buy the houses for less than they bought them for.
Yeah.
I'm like, it was just not a great, and they could have done it if they actually fixed up the houses and made them look good. A lot of times they barely did anything. They changed the carpet or something. Because when people flip houses here, they actually do from the ones I've seen, do a relatively good job. It depends on the company, but I have a client buying a flip right now, and they showed it very well. But whenever I showed an Open Door one or the Zillow's, there's not many Zillow ones anymore, I don't think, but they just don't do a very good job presenting them. So I just think it's a flawed system for the they have at least.
It's a flawed system. There's levels to it, right? Like, it's a really great concept to be able to buy homes online through an algorithm. An algorithm can do a lot of things. It can a lot of times get like fairly close to market value. And if you're selling a lot of homes, it would make sense that could work. The problem is if the market just shifts a little bit, that's a problem. The other problem is really, really difficult at this type of scale is finding the right contractors, getting the designers in there, staging the house, all of these different services that they don't want to really pay for, and actually finding those people out there. I know that was one of the reasons why Zillow stated why they had an issue or why they ended up having to close that program down, is because they had a hard time getting the work, which granted a year and a half ago, it was really difficult to get contractors.
Was difficult. Yeah.
It's still hard, but it's, they aren't doing the job that a local person could do that has all of those connections, and you can't do that at scale.
Yeah, it's very difficult. I mean, and they probably got out at a good time, to be honest. The market was still going pretty strong when they finally closed the door on that thing. But now Open Door did not get out of it in time. So I'm curious to see how they perform over the next year or so. So we shall see. Start plans for Orlando, as we know. We have Audrey from Tierra Santa. Very cool.
Nice.
Like Tierra Santa.
Great area.
What do you think about buying an investment condo townhome in Temecula? I have no problem with buying an investment home. Are you just trying to do it as an Airbnb or just straight rental? Honestly, I don't know what the rental rates are up in Temecula. That's kind of a little bit out of our territory, but I mean, I don't see it. The prices aren't super affordable in Temecula either. They are probably more affordable than the San Diego median home price. But it kind of depends on what you're doing with it and where it is. But I don't think it's a bad idea.
Yeah, it depends on your goals. It really depends on your goals. Is it long-term rental, short-term rental? There's a lot of HOAs out in, I would say, probably almost every house out in Temecula is going to have an HOA that is probably going to restrict against short-term rentals. I just don't know the demand of short-term rentals out there. At the end of the day, it all boils down to, do the numbers make sense?
They actually are pretty tough. Short-term rentals are pretty popular in Temecula because I actually rented one up in.
Well, I guess the wineries.
The wineries. It's just like a kind of a small, villagey town up there. So it is a pretty popular tourist destination or vacation destination too. So
head over to Bigger Pockets. Make sure you have the numbers dialed in. We just bought a short-term Airbnb investment property, and the numbers that we went off of were the cash on cash return. So like, how much money are we spending every year versus how much money it's costing us, our costs every year versus how much revenue we were bringing in every year.
How has that been renting? Has it been renting well?
It's going great. I mean, it's out in Joshua Tree, and we basically opened the door at the beginning of the off season, and it's, we're pretty booked, so we're very happy.
That's awesome. That's great. It's not even the busy season yet. So
yeah, exactly.
Okay, so basically, if you can buy a property in San Diego and can afford it, do it. Refinance later. I mean, if I needed, I'm actually looking to buy another investment property. So yes, I would buy one right now. Like this was like 3 or 4 months ago when there was crazy bidding wars. I actually like to buy when their bidding wars are non-existent for the most part, because then they don't get not artificially inflated, but then it shouldn't have sold for $300,000 over asking price. Maybe it should have just been $50,000 over asking price. Like when you have 20 offers, it's just like, you're at an auction basically. So, I don't think it's a bad idea, but obviously it depends on your situation. Can you afford it? Can you afford the payment? What if you lose a job? Can you still afford it? That sort of thing too. So
that's the key takeaway right there. As long as you're going to live in the house at least 3-4 years, so that's a plan. And, you can feel confident in those 3 to 4 years that you're going to be able to make that monthly payment. It might feel like a little bit of a challenge. Like I think it can, in certain situations, it can be okay to feel like not that it's a stretch to make those payments, but that it's a little bit uncomfortable, but you
Yep.
still want to make sure that you can do it.
That's what we did when we bought our house. Like we were looking at a certain, like a $750,000 price point. We ended up buying something for $850,000.
Yep.
So it was a little bit of a stretch. And that first year, it felt like a big stretch. But as you grow out of it and your incomes increase, hopefully it increases, then it makes it a little bit easier. And now looking back, I'm like, I don't know why I was stressing so much, but it's easy to say after the fact.
Exactly.
When you're in it, it's very, very difficult to see, the light at the end of the tunnel. So, Okay. We're planning to move next summer back to a house we already own in Albuquerque. We're planning to move back next summer back to a house. Okay, cool. So you're leaving.
Right?
Does she live in? Oh, Tierra Santa. Okay, very cool. Why are you leaving? Just you're over San Diego, or just cheaper quality of life, that sort of thing? Just curious to see why. I always like to see why people leave. So
yeah.
Wait until cut 30 to 50%. I always love these ones.
Yeah.
I mean, we already seen price decreases. I think I just showed you on the graphs. We've already gone down, $25,000 on the median home price, 35,000 median home price. So yeah, prices are dipping. But if prices go down 50%, I'm going to buy every house I can possibly get in San Diego.
A lot of people are. A lot of people are.
I can't buy every house, but obviously it would be 30 to 50% would be worse than 2008. So I don't really see it happening. We could be 100% wrong, and you could be 100% right, but I don't see that big of a drop happening. So
50% is not happening. I could say confidently 50% is not happening. Deals can be had right now. And you can find deals out there, but the whole market is not going to go down 50%. There's too many people with money.
Yeah, there's the inventory is still low. There's still people. I think, could you see a 30% drop in certain cities throughout the country? Possibly. Sure. I just don't think San Diego is one of them. So I'm thinking 10 to 15% max is probably my guess. And we've probably already seen like 5 to 8% already in certain areas, at least. Some areas that got really shut up during the pandemic because they had they're super desirable is why they had the bidding wars, but maybe they got a little bit more inflated than they should have. Basically, that's my guess. I did a video on this once. I think you did too. Every summer I say I should have moved to San Diego. You cannot believe how hot it gets in Florida in the summer. I know how. My brother lives in Tampa, so I know how hot it gets in Florida, but I don't visit him during the summer. So get married, middle-class couples can do it. You almost have to be able to dual income to be able to afford San Diego, unless you're like the CEO of Google or something like that, because it's very difficult to do it on one salary. So
unless you get something very modest.
Yes, that's true. Unless you're happy with condos or townhomes, then you can definitely do it on one salary. But if you want, the American dream 4-bedroom house in a nice neighborhood in San Diego, it's hard to do it on one income.
Yeah, for sure.
Harvey is watching from Boca Raton. Okay, very cool.
Harvey? Where is Boca Raton? I should know where that's at.
It's in Florida.
Okay, cool.
I don't know exactly where, but it's somewhere in Florida. Star Platinum, thanks for the info. I was thinking of Florida, but the humidity and heat was my concern. I'm in San Diego, and the weather is number one reason I'm here. Very cool.
That's it. The weather, well, it's definitely one of the top.
Weather is one of them, and the weather, and we're on a beach, and there's lots of things to do here.
The people are cool. It's laid back, healthy lifestyle.
I think we've done a few videos on why it's a great place to live here. So.
But not much in our lives. It's nice to talk about it on the live.
It is. That's true. We don't talk about it that much. Texas and Florida were my two choices if I leave San Diego, but I talk myself out of it all the time. It's hard. I think it's. I would like to do a video on someone that has left San Diego, then regretted it, and then came back. That'd be a good one too.
Bring Jeremy Knight on. He regrets living in Austin.
I don't think he'll ever come back to California though. So. 9 Angels. It's hot. Yes. Okay. Good. I can handle heat. Okay, these guys are just having conversations. Las Vegas has never been on my wish list. I'm going to Las Vegas for the first time in October in like 5 years. It's been a while. Are you excited about it? Like, what are you going for? Yeah, I mean, it's my wife's birthday, so we're going to go for that. Cool. So yeah, we're going with a couple of couples and just doing 2 nights. I only need 2 nights in Vegas. A lot of times I only need 1 night in Vegas, but yeah, I'm going for 2. How early before you want to sell should you find an agent? Weeks, days? Are you doing this to buy or to sell? She was trying to leave, right? She was leaving San Diego, I think.
Yeah.
If you're going to sell, I would do it weeks before. If you're going to buy, you can, even a couple weeks before that too would be also good. But I would do it to sell. I'd almost do it months before. If your house needs, maybe some paint, some touch-ups, some staging, 2 months before, I'd say, is a reasonable amount of time to get the house ready. Because if you're going to try to like sell it the next week, there's usually a lot of things. It might not sound like it, but there's a lot of things you need to do to get the house ready and showing shape if you want to get the most money for the house, at least.
Yeah. I mean, Bern and I, we get people reaching out that are, days out from buying to 6 months out to 12 months to 18 months. Now, there's not much we can do at 18 months. But I mean, we get people all the time that are a year, almost a year out. So I don't think it really matters that much if you have an agent in mind, or if there's an agent that you're connected with or anything like that. Like, make the connection, make a call, and at least start to have an idea of what neighborhoods would make sense, and see if you like that agent. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I've had people like 2 years ago, I'm moving to San Diego in 2026. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, a lot of things can change by then, but if you want to talk about it, sometimes people just get really excited about it and they want to talk about it. So
just don't expect them to show you homes if that's the case.
Yes, because a lot of things change in 3 to 4 years. So what's the outlook of appreciation for 91913 and 91915 in Chula Vista and comparing with Carlsbad? I mean, right now it's hard to say. I would say appreciation levels typically are fairly similar. We did a video on this recently showing appreciation rates over the last 2 years in different neighborhoods, and Chula Vistas was pretty high. Carlsbad was pretty high. I don't have the list right in front of me, but I mean, from 2020 to 2022, some of these neighborhoods went up 30 to 40%. I don't expect that to happen over the next couple of years. I think it's going to be, we might see that little dip this like year end of this year. I think what was the median home price? 850. It could be like 800 by the end of the year, maybe a little bit higher.
Yeah.
But and then it'll probably start to go up again. But to say what is the outlook for them, I think this year could be a little dip and then it'll go back up again in a year or 2 years. I don't think it's going to be 20 to 40%. It's probably going to be more reasonable, like 5 to 10%, maybe.
Chula Vista is a big place. I think it's the third biggest city in California or something like that.
Huge, yeah.
It's a big place. So, I mean, you put some zip codes in there, but I mean, like the specific neighborhood, the specific area that it's in, like more closer over to like Otay Ranch, I think that's going to continue growing in popularity. Yeah. We have that big bayfront build out that's going to be happening in Chula Vista that I think is going to add a ton of value over to more of the like west coast of Chula Vista. And then Carlsbad, it's hard to beat Carlsbad because, highly rated schools and newer homes, really well built out, like suburban communities.
And it's true coastal versus Chula Vista, which is not really coastal per se.
Yep. So, that's right.
I think appreciation, if I had to guess, Carlsbad would probably win that appreciation battle on that one. But again, this is just kind of an educated guess.
And Chula Vista has more opportunity to go up. Like, does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
Like,
I just think
that is already really high. Yes. There's a chance that Chula Vista could beat it out if like some of these build outs go really well and there's more of a draw down there, but I don't know that that's going to happen. It's more of a risk, I would say.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, what else we got here? We already have not 5. Oh, this one fast. Okay, I'll try to get through these. Are either of you going to the art walk at Liberty Station this weekend? I unfortunately am not. My son has a soccer tournament this weekend. Are you, Dan? Are you going to the art walk?
I am not, but I will be doing glow golf in Liberty Station. They have a little golf course there. It's just a little 9-hole. This is how much I know golf. It's a really small 9-hole course, and they do glow golf every once a month or something like that. And they have these balls that literally have a little LED light in them. So you hit that.
I always wanted to do that. That would be fun.
It's a blast. So we're doing that on Friday night.
Liberty Station is fantastic. So
yeah,
love it there.
It's a lot of fun.
What areas are affordable for blue collar workers? So when you just did an affordable video recently, Dan, so you could probably take this one.
Yeah. So I guess it depends on what exactly you're looking for and what you consider affordable. If you're looking for single family home, you got to go a little bit onto the outskirts of town. So you can go farther east into El Cajon and you can find bigger homes and bigger lots. Maybe they're going to be a little bit older homes. Maybe it's not going to be as nice of a street or neighborhood as you're looking for. You can look into Valley Center or
Escondido too.
Escondido, San Marcos. Like it depends on how, it depends on how, like, it really depends on what your budget is and what you consider affordable. But those, like, if you really push farther out into the outskirts, you're going to find more affordability. Or if you're willing to do an attached property and get your foot in the door, then you can do something like downtown is actually, I think, the second or third most affordable neighborhood in San Diego.
But it's going to be a condo or townhome, most likely.
Exactly. Yeah. Attached property. Same with Mission Valley. Those are some good options.
Yep, for sure. I agree with all those. And as far as you want to be like closer to the beach, as affordable as possible for beach, at least what Oceanside would be one. Not that it's like super affordable, or like Ocean Beach.
Or IB.
Yeah, or IB. Those are probably the three. And those are obviously the north and south ends of San Diego. So.
Exactly. Yeah.
So hopefully that helps. Boca's near West Palm Beach, Florida. There you go, Dan.
Star coming in clutch.
Now you know. Star should be a co-host on our show here. Me and my fiance are looking to move to San Diego from Phoenix next year. We are looking to buy instead of renting. Our budget is around $600K. Any thoughts on San Diego home prices summer of 2023? So like a year from now, I would say home prices will be. This is just a guess what they're going to be next year. I think they're going to be relatively close to where they are right now. I don't think they're going to be dramatically higher from what they are right now. So $600K, you're probably looking at a townhome or condo for the most part, unless you're like going to one of those neighborhoods we talked about, like maybe parts of Chula Vista, East County areas, El Cajon, like you said, Vista, Escondido. Even that would be hard to get a single family house in any of those areas. So townhome or condo, you'll have a lot of options in the $600K for townhomes and condos. Depends on how big of a place you hope. If you want like a 2 or 3 bedroom, you could probably find it in a lot of different neighborhoods.
Yeah. And because I know that we're going to get comments that say, you guys have no idea what you're talking about. There is for sure going to be a 50% drop in home prices or whatever the heck you're going to say. Look, I know these people have been claiming this for the last 10 years, and one day they're going to be right. There's going to be a housing market crash. And one day they're going to be right.
And they're going to be like, we told you so, but
exactly. So look, don't hate on us for having opinions. The reality is we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. We're making an educated guess, and we're people that are in this industry on a daily basis, and it's a very educated guess, and we're constantly educating ourselves. I agree with Bern. I think where we're going to be 12 months from now, if I'm going to guess, it's going to be pretty much right where we're at right now. It's dipping a little bit right now. I think it's going to slowly come back up, and maybe some weird things in between. But I would say where we're at, plus or minus 10% is my guess.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. But we will see. If we're wrong, I'll admit if we're wrong. But I was wrong. We were wrong about the interest rates. I thought interest rates might be at like 3.5%, 4% this like by the end of this year. And we went up to like 6%, at one point. So obviously we were wrong on that one. So we could be wrong. I'm not saying we're perfect here.
Someone left a comment on my channel that they're going to make a video montage of all the times that we said what's going to happen in the market.
That'd be great. I'd watch that.
I would too. I'll promote it. I would love that.
How many times we were wrong on our predictions, which is. I think we've been besides the interest rate thing. I think because like we said, we kind of feel it before it actually shows up on the stats. So, I mean, not that we can predict the future, but we can predict what the stats are going to say 2 months from now. So
we have been eerily very accurate over the last 2 years. If we actually go back and look at our predictions.
Okay, I moved to San Francisco before the pandemic and revered it. Moved back as soon as I could. A lot of. You were not the only one that moved to San Francisco and then decided to move back down to San Diego. Where did you move in San Diego? I'm just curious.
And where are you?
The audacity of dope. Love that name. Join late. Not sure if this was answered already.
You're all good, Steve.
Okay.
That was the last question. We got you.
Oh, I got it up there. Okay. Medium sale tells 5% drop. Specific case example 11095 Epi Court in April went for 1.625, and so went for 1.362. That's a 17% drop. Sadly, we have a new stock market.
Bern, you don't want to pronounce his name?
No. Rajagopal? Well, I probably.
I feel like that sounded pretty good. I have no idea. I was just
sorry if I butchered that. I'm going to call you Raja. Raja Bell. He's a former Philadelphia 76er. I like that name. Okay, so these are two different houses. Well, I mean, you're also. I mean, if it was the same house, it'd be easier to say there's a 17% drop. Are they the same floor? I'd have to look up the addresses to know for sure what these ones are. But are you saying the same house dropped 17%, or two different houses dropped 17%? So
I mean, this is a hilarious comment. Look, I can for your one comment here, I can throw a dozen of homes that closed this week, probably way more than a dozen of homes that probably closed in the last 2 days that closed for 10, 15, 20% over asking. Yep. So if you're just looking at one example here or there, of course you can make it say whatever you want. But we're looking at the market as a whole, and you're not giving me enough data to convince me of anything.
Yeah, I think sometimes people find what they want to find, and then sort of. I mean, after this is over, I'll look up both these addresses and see what the differences are.
He's not going to look them up.
No, I'm not going to. I'm going to look it up. now I'm curious. So, do you think it's a good investment to have a staycation Airbnb investment property with the new Airbnb rules? Curious if your thoughts. I'm leaning not good. I think if you get one of the Airbnb licenses, it's going to be great for you, because I think there's going to be half the supply as there was before. So if you actually are one of the lucky ones that gets one of the licenses, there's going to be a more demand for it. So you could probably charge more and you'll be booked more. But yes, there's a risk that you don't get it. And just keep in mind, it's 30 days or less. So in San Diego, a lot of times, especially in the summertime, people rent out properties for months at a time. I've had multiple people this summer say, "Oh, I'm in town for 6 weeks while I'm living in San Diego," and they rent out Airbnbs. So yes, it's a risk because you might not have them all year round, but you could still rent them out. And it'll depend on price points and ranges and where it's located. The ones closer to the beach will have a better chance of renting for longer than 30 days if you don't get that license, because you actually don't need. I mean, I think you still need the license, but doesn't affect your status if you do it for longer than 30 days. It's not considered short-term if it's over 30 days. So, but yeah, if you want it straight, 2-day rentals, then it is a risk and you're not guaranteed to get it. So
just remember though, the new rules are for the city of San Diego. So that's number one. That's only half the population of the county. So every city has their own rules. You can look up, Google Carlsbad short-term rental rules and regulations.
Has their own rules.
They all have their own rules and regulations. So look at all those. Second, it also just depends on there's ways that you can hack it potentially. If you live in the house or one of your family members lives in the house, or there's a permanent resident on part of the property, then you can rent out the rest of the property as a short-term rental, and it's no issue. So I know clients that are buying properties in San Diego. Their son or daughter is going to go to school down here, and they're going to live in one of the units or one of the bedrooms, and then they're going to short-term rent out the rest. So there's ways that you can hack it.
I have to believe there's going to be loopholes that are people trying to find to use this to their advantage. And I'm not saying to do that. I'm just saying people usually find a way. So
the other question is enforcement. There's a lot of people saying there's not going to be any enforcement, and until I see evidence otherwise, they might be right on that.
Yeah, and we'll keep you guys updated on that, because I know people that own short-term rentals here in San Diego. I have one guy that owns 4 of them. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. And it's supposed to start in spring to 2023. I bet you that even gets pushed because San Diego does nothing quickly. So
they're supposed to do they're supposed to draw the names in January or something like that.
Yeah,
but I don't know when it actually goes into effect.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how that goes. Okay, we're almost at an hour here, so let's try to go quickly through these. In Carlsbad, Oceanside, rent increasing for 1 bedroom about 10% to $3,300 for a 1 bedroom. Is that right? $3,300. Looking for townhouse purchase at this point in North County next 6 months. Fingers crossed. May reach out. Good luck to you, man. I mean, the rent prices have been crazy over the last 2-3 years. So yeah, I can't believe 1 bedrooms are going for $3,300.
And the general rule of thumb is rentals lags the housing market by 6 months.
True.
So they're going to keep going up.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, is it right time to buy yet in Poway? I think
Yeah.
whenever you are ready to buy a home, um, that's the time to buy it. I'm not saying there's ever a perfect time to buy a home ever, but if you're in the good financial position to do it, it's really never a bad time to buy a home in California because in the end, the prices will go up. So maybe it'll go down before it goes back up again, but I think we've actually already seen the little dip. Maybe we get a little bit farther dip going, but I don't think it's a bad time. And Poway is always desirable. Good school district, good location, pretty central to most of San Diego. And I live like 2 minutes away from there. So
Nailed it.
okay, a couple more questions. We got to go. Dan is keeps winking at me just to cut it off.
I'm kicking him under the table. Come on, Baron.
Come on. We bought our house in 2015 and appreciation much more than enough to pay off our ABQ home, and it's so much cheaper. And it's also the home of Breaking Bad, which I'm also very excited about that.
So you asked why they're moving back.
Yeah, I remember we asked that earlier in the thing. So okay, very cool.
Good for you.
Dang it, I got here late. What's the best resource for scouting out homes with ADUs? We plan to rent first and maybe look to buying something with an ADU. So it's a kind of, honestly, there's not a perfect way to do it because they don't always show ADUs on, like if someone doesn't click the right box in the MLS, it doesn't always show up. But if you look up multifamily homes on the MLS or like Redfin or Zillow's, you can usually do it that way. Those aren't really ADUs per se. Those are just like single family homes where they build an ADU. So I don't know, is there a better way for you to search ADUs besides just searching, like typing in an actual search option ADU?
Yeah, you can do. So usually what I find is if you search multi-unit properties, it'll pop up on there if it's permitted. And if not, and if it's not a permitted addition, which to be honest, for some people, it doesn't matter. Like it depends what you're using it for. If you want it all to be legit, then it's going to probably be more expensive and you can search for multi-unit property, or like Bern said, you can put in the search criteria an ADU. Those would be the two searches.
Because if it has an ADU, they will try to advertise the crap out of it if it does it. So sometimes you can go on, even if you're just not on the MLS, you can go on Zillow and if there's like an extra search option, it'll say like additional, I forget what it says, amenity or something like that. You can say type in ADU. So it's not
or detached studio sometimes.
Or detached 1 bedroom or whatever it is. So hopefully that helps a little bit, Christian. Sorry. Dash. Hey, Dash. How are you? Good to see you again. Could you share your thoughts about having the listing agent as your buyer's agent? Ooh, good one. What do you think?
I feel like we're walking into a trap here, Bern.
This is a trap.
We need you to sign some legally binding contracts for us to disclose this type of information for you.
That is true. I mean, if it was me, especially in this market, I don't think there's any benefit to going to a listing agent. I mean, in the previous markets when there were, I could understand why someone would try to do it just because like, okay, if I go to the listing agent, I'll definitely be able to get the house. In this market, there's no real benefit to going to the listing agent because you can get the property. And the listing agent is out for the seller. The buyer's agent is out for you. So, I mean, if you're like, this is the comparison people always use. Like, if you're getting divorced, would you guys hire the same lawyer to defend both of you in the divorce proceeding? You know, I'm not divorced, but I don't think so. So that's my thoughts on that. But obviously, do whatever is best for you. I wouldn't do it.
I would say that the savviest buyers out there, you might be able to get a little bit of an advantage, and if you really know your way around a property transaction. But for majority, 99% of people, go with a buyer's agent. When I have a listing and I have someone walk in that is not represented, more often than not, I'm going to suggest that they go get their own agent because I would rather do things the right way and not misrepresent 1 or 2 people. Because there's no way I can have 2 people's best interests at heart in a transaction. Yeah,
there's a lot of legalities regarding that too, as far as like you don't want to what you can say to each side and that sort of thing. It's just it's very difficult balance. And even people that said that they can do it, it's still, I don't know, it's not the easiest thing to do in the world. So okay, going through these real quick. If you think prices will stay about the same, what about interest rates? I think interest rates will, I mean, maybe they go up again, but I think they're going to end up somewhere in the 4s by the end of the year. That's my guess. Somewhere hopefully low 4s. I mean, jumbos are already I was just asked my lender before this, jumbos are at 4.25%, which is very reasonable. Yeah. So, I mean, I think it is. Maybe not everyone agrees with me, but I think they'll settle. Maybe jumbos go into the threes. I don't think that's going to happen. But we're in, what month are we in now? August, and we're at 4.25. So we're not that far off. So if rates go down to like 3.5, maybe prices will go back up again. But I think all the reason for these price increases is I think 90% due to interest rates.
Yeah, so. I think, interest rates are a crapshoot. I think like Burn, we're going to be around the same price for a median home in 12 months that we are today. But that's contingent on interest rates not really, I think they can stay the same or even go up a little bit, and that will be true. But if they drop again, then housing prices are going right back up.
That's what I'm saying. If they go down, then prices are going to go up. So
yeah.
I don't want to tell everyone to buy right now because I don't want everyone to go out and scoop up all these houses, but I think it's a pretty good time. So that's just why I'm looking for investment property
in a long time.
We shouldn't really tell people to do that because then they're going to take all our houses. So last 3 questions, and Dan's got to go because I've held him here too long. Between the two of you, how many clients have either of you had that has used VA-backed loans for a home purchase, and how is the process? VA loans are fantastic. You can do 0 down. They're probably one of the best loans you can possibly get as a VA-backed loan. How many people have I helped with VA loans? Ever? I've been in this for 10 years, so I don't know, VA maybe 30. I don't know. I'd have to count. It's been doing this for a while. So
yeah, I used to specialize in helping veterans. So I've worked with a lot of veterans and utilized a lot of VA loans in the past. They're great. There was a period of time where the market was so tough that people were actually looking down on VA loans a little bit, which is silly. But I think from the standpoint of being a strong offer for the seller, really that is contingent on a VA loan with a 0 down. Sellers don't like to see that because they want to see that you have money to spend, or at least that you have extra money in the bank and that you're qualified. Because that's what they're worried about, the loan falling through.
They're more worried about the appraisals gap. So 6 months ago,
yeah.
If you don't have any money to make up an appraisal gap, then that is the problem. That was the problem with VA loans and FHA loans during this market when the market was super hot. Because okay, in this market, I think VA loans fantastic because they don't really care what kind of loan you have now to close it because they're not really worried about appraisal as much anymore, all that sort of thing. So with VA and FHA, if you only had enough for either 0 down or 5% down, the worry was okay, what if the gap is 5%? You can't make up the difference. That was usually the big concern with those. But right now, I think VA is going to be your gold out there right now. So
find a good lender. That would be my biggest thing. Don't go with the big box.
Doesn't Derek Evans, who's on your
he's a VA specialist. Talk to Derek Evans.
Yep,
yeah,
for sure.
Talk to Derek Evans. And he's a good guy.
Where are the deals to be had? Where would both of you invest reasonably if you could invest? I'm not even worried about location. I'm just looking for the deals in each individual neighborhood. So I've seen deals in Rancho Penasquitas. I've seen deals in Carlsbad. I've seen deals in Oceanside. They're all over. Just look for my strategy is look for ones that have been on the market for a minute. Maybe they had a price reduction or 2. And then just look at the comps and see where it's at and find a good real estate agent that can find these for you. They're out there. You just got to know where to look.
Yeah. And my strategy right now is I'm getting short-term rentals near national parks. So that's a very specific niche that we're getting into, partially because we like to visit these national parks and it's really exciting and fun for us.
Win-win. You get some money out of it and you get to use it yourself too. So
that's right.
Option. Okay, last question, then we're done. Just a moment. You guys are both fantastic. Oh, thank you, Durango.
What a great way to end it.
Please keep doing what you're doing with amazing content. Cheers. That's a good way to end it. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. And thanks for everyone that's tuned in. I'm sure Dan will be going live this week or next week. And I try to do it every other week as we all get busy from time to time. So thank you guys for tuning in. And if you guys are ever looking to buy or sell a home here in San Diego, myself or Dan would be happy to help you guys. If you guys ever have questions, feel free to reach out. We'd be happy to answer for you. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate you.
Next time. See you guys.